Captain Midnight.
This video is brought to you by Squarespace. So Spider-Man PS4 has been out for a while now, long enough to take the crown of the fastest selling PlayStation exclusive ever right off the heads of Kratos and Son. So I think it's safe to say that there's going to be a sequel. In fact, it's pretty much been confirmed already, with the game's creative director basically saying that he views the game as Insomniac's Iron Man, which of course really implies a new video game Marvel universe. I guess people are already calling it the MGU, like Marvel Gaming Universe. Personally, I think that's kinda lame. I think we can do better. Like, the movies aren't called the Marvel Movie-Going Universe. I think I like the Marvel Interactive Universe more, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Whatever you want to call it, it's happening. But what should this new universe look like? Well, I had a really good time this week coming up with a few ideas I'd like to see, so I'll dig into them here. Before I start though, I do want to say that obviously this conversation will be building on the end of the first game, so I'll just give you that spoiler warning now. Got it? Okay, cool.
Oh, demons, use your powers! Bungler, you are not fit to join our evil band.
So I've seen a lot of chatter online for the past week or so about how the game is actually the best Spider-Man movie ever. I just can't really get on board with that. Video games are definitely their own thing, but if I was going to compare the structure of the game to anything else, I'd probably say it has more in common with a well-plotted season of television than with any movie. And that's one of its biggest strengths, as it allows the player to follow Spider-Man through both the big, life-altering stories and the small, friendly neighborhood stuff too, giving us more of a three-dimensional look at the character than you can really get from even multiple 2-hour movies. Which leads me to the very first point I want to make. No matter how big or expansive this universe gets, I hope Insomniac never loses their focus on the small stuff. In fact, I loved the side missions in Spider-Man. I hope they really expand on those and give us more unique little glimpses into Insomniac's New York and Peter's chaotic life inside it. So just throwing that little rant out there. More side missions equals good, I guess. But come on, we all want to talk about Venom, so I'm going to try to do that in the context of the sequel as a whole. Insomniac's Venom, from the very, very little info we have, looks like it's going to be a completely new beast from any previous version of the character we've seen before. So lately I've been reading through the game's art book, which is really great by the way, and if there's one common through line about how that book talks about creating villains, it's that they approached every bad guy from the point of view of how do we make this feel grounded, both in the look of the costumes and emotionally. Which makes me wonder, if Harry Osborn is gonna be Venom, like it kinda seems like he will be, what would his motivation be? Especially since it seems like he left Peter and Mary Jane on pretty good terms. Obviously we have no idea what the symbiote, or whatever this thing is, will do to his body and personality, so it's hard to tell, but since Harry has been friends with Peter and MJ since childhood, I think there's a lot of great material they could draw on there. Terminal illness and weird experiments aside, Harry did just experience the loss of his mother, and I'm curious to see if that will play into things. And also where Norman fits into all this. Like, who knows, maybe that thing will escape the tank and wind up bonding with Norman instead.
I can't do anything!
Thanks for telling me your weakness.
Stop! Stop!
Gladly, as soon as you give me the knife.
But of course, in games as big as these, Venom isn't going to be the only villain to make an appearance. I'd especially like to see Mysterio, who we know has crossed paths with Spider-Man already in this universe, as well as maybe Morbius, who I'd really be interested to see Insomniac's take on, the Hobgoblin, Alistair Smythe, Jackal, Big Wheel, yeah, you heard me. Oh, and maybe Carnage too, although that would have to make sense with the main narrative. Of course, these are just some of my personal favorites. I picked them because they're kind of less well known by casual audiences, so hopefully that means that Insomniac can really reimagine them however they want. I'd definitely be interested to hear your picks too though. Another lingering thread from the first game is the other Marvel heroes. Sure, you can swing around the Avengers Tower or the Wakandan Embassy, but you know, good luck tracking down Iron Man or Black Panther. It's not gonna happen. A sequel would be a great time to introduce some of that, but maybe not too much. While I'd like to see more appearances from other Marvel heroes, I still want the game to be a Spider-Man story, first and foremost. So I don't think, introducing all the Avengers is a really great idea. I'd like to see more street level heroes. Maybe just pick one or two. Luke Cage, Miss Marvel, Daredevil, the Punisher. I think those would all be really cool inclusions, and some of them could easily carry games on their own. In fact, the Punisher already has a really underrated game. I think someone should give him another one. And who knows, maybe Insomniac really will do something with the Avengers down the line. But that seems like it'd be a weird situation since apparently Square Enix is making their Avengers game too, or something. I don't really know, that project has always seemed really clouded in mystery. Now, I've covered this in past videos a bit, but I think there's a ton of room for different types of Marvel games. The open world action works great for Spider-Man, but it'd be really cool to see them explore other genres as well. I'm especially obsessed with the idea of a Doctor Strange RPG. The way he fights, the way he travels, his magical items, it would just fit that format so well, and I'd love to see it. Plus, we do know that he exists in Spider-Man PS4, so while it might be a little far-fetched, it's still more believable than, I don't know, a Spider-Ham kart racer.
You're responsible for that?
Yep.
Either way though, this seems like it's only the beginning for Marvel and Insomniac. And as good as Spider-Man PS4 is, there's tons of room to expand on it, and make its New York City feel more real, and, as overused as this word is, more immersive. I don't know what new things Insomniac will bring to the table in Spider-Man 2 and beyond, but judging by this game, and maybe even more impressively by its story, it really seems like the franchise and this new version of the Marvel Universe is in really good hands. You know, when Insomniac first started, it was just a few guys making a little Doom clone. But a lot of big ideas start small. The most important thing is taking that first step into making your vision a reality. Thankfully, it's easier than ever with Squarespace. No matter what you want to do, from starting a blog to promoting a business or selling something you made with their great e-commerce tool, Squarespace makes building a website painless and even fun. You get to pick from a bunch of really good-looking templates made by world-class designers, while never having to worry about patches or upgrades. Not to mention their 24/7 award-winning customer support. Really though, I'm sure you've heard this pitch before. You know Squarespace is great. It all comes back to taking that first step. So to get started, go to squarespace.com/CaptainMidnight and use the offer code CaptainMidnight, all one word, to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
Here's a special tip for the fellas and girls who have not already joined Captain Midnight's new 1940 Flight Patrol. You'd better hurry up and join at once, because there's a big adventure ahead. The thing to do now is to get started, because we're going to have not only barrels of fun, but loads of free gifts and prizes too.